Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know I'm not at my usual setup. I'm currently on vacation, but you know, it's 2024, so the grind never stops. I'm still gonna Kids' cartoons and TV shows tend to be a distraction from the real world, a different life you can access with the click of a button on a remote, and for that reason, they're fiction. But what about when they try to implement real-world problems and teach the kids watching a valuable lesson? Sometimes they go right, and other times they go extremely wrong in the eyes of the audience. Hey guys, my name is Tuv, and today I bring you another cartoon-related video. We actually haven't made one of these in a while. In fact, it's been over a year. Anyway, today we'll be talking about exactly how racism was approached in kids' cartoons and TV shows. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. That's right, third week in a row, regularly uploading. Let's go. Can we get a round of applause for the Tuv channel? Yep. I'm being consistent. I'm gonna keep it up. Don't worry, guys. Today, we're gonna be talking about cartoons. We've only done 2 videos in the past talking about them, so I'm glad I have an excuse to talk about more cartoons. If you guys have any suggestions on what cartoon-related videos I could make, please let me know in the comments below. Oh yeah, my song with Funeral came out, so if you wanna go listen to that, it's over on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, and on my second channel. I personally think it's my best song so far. And also, let's talk about my little character on screen. This one. Believe me, I heard you guys. You guys like my face more. I can believe that, because, why wouldn't you? But I'm gonna be doing 50-50, so both sides win, I guess. In all my videos, there will be some face and some cartoon version of me. I see all the PNG tuber jokes, by the way. Why am I choosing to use a cartoon? I prefer using the little character because it does provide less pressure. I do feel a lot of pressure when I show my face entirely on camera. And I know it's funny because I've been doing this for about a year now full time, so it's just a little bit weird timing. And I can also actually get really high quality on the mic because for this mic, I actually keep it down. It's right here. And when I get to use my character, I can actually use my microphone like this, and it sounds extremely high quality. But when I do it like this, it looks like I'm hiding my chin like Leafy used to do, and that's not something I want to do in my videos. But yeah, just to give you a little context on why I like my little character, that's why. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about racism approached in cartoons. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get started with the list. Static Shock, Season 1, Episode 8, Sons of the Fathers. Static Shock aired on Kids WB in late 2000. It ran for 4 seasons, and the show was about Virgil Hawkins, a 14-year-old boy who contracted superpowers after exposure to a mutagen gas, those being electromagnetic powers which he would use for the sake of good under his alias Static. The show follows the adventure he and his best friend Richie Foley get into, which involve helping Dakota City for the greater good. It's your typical children's superhero show, to say the least. However, one thing the show was praised for was its approach to social issues. In Season 1, Episode 8, Sons of the Fathers, we get a look as to how the directors wanted to communicate that racism is not only a systemic, old-fashioned problem, but also that it's just wrong. The episode starts off with a group of villains known as the Metabreed invading the local mall and robbing innocent civilians. Then Static comes through to save the day, yada yada yada. You know, it's always funny when heroes wear an eye mask and still aren't recognized. Like, bro, do you even know your son's face or voice? Anyway, that's not the point. A little argument ensues between Richie and Virgil's sister, Sharon. She complains that he's there every day, so much so that he should be paying rent. Virgil defends him and says Richie is welcome to their home any day of the week. Shortly after this, time passes and Virgil says, you know what? My sister's right. We never hang out at your place. And Richie panics, looking for excuses, but doesn't have any. So they agree that on Friday, Virgil can spend the night. We also have a Metabreed subplot going on in the episode, which I'm not going to get too into. Friday night comes along and Virgil and Richie are hanging out in his room, and it seems Richie planned to specifically invite Virgil when his dad wasn't home, and instead working a night shift. It seems the mom was also in on it too. But then, the living room door opens and it's revealed Mr. Foley is home early. Virgil says hi and Mr. Foley ignores him. Then they have an awkward, quiet dinner. You know those awkward dinners where you only hear the forks clanking. I fucking hate those moments. Virgil breaks the silence by telling Richie he brought a rap CD they can listen to later, and Mr. Foley intervenes, saying rap music is garbage and disrespectful. He also says it, quote, tears down everything guys like me built, insinuating, you know, that he's a white man and people that listen to rap most likely aren't. Eventually, Virgil is making his way to the bathroom through the hallway and overhears Mr. Foley talking to Richie's mother, saying, and I quote, and now I see why Richie acts like a hood, Maggie. That kid's a bad influence. All his kind are. It's bad enough I gotta deal with them all day long. Now one of them's in my house. And as any normal human would, Virgil leaves. Shout out Richie for writing for his homeboy though, because he straight up calls his dad out for being racist and tells him he hates him.
Well, you got what you wanted, Dad. My best friend's gone because of you and your stupid racism. I hate you!
The day after, Virgil gets a phone call from Maggie, Richie's mom, explaining that Richie is missing. She also apologizes, and we can see that the only racist in the house is Mr. Foley. Then we get to see Richie get chased by an armadillo man and a wolf man. Okay, we also get to see Mr. Foley ask Virgil's father for help in a very obnoxious way. He says Richie never mentioned Virgil and his family were black. As annoyed as Mr. Hawkins is, he's still willing to help track down Richie. They have a discussion about what was said that previous night where Mr. Hawkins confronts Foley. He calls him an ignorant bigot that's blind to the world moving forward. He also says Richie doesn't like his own dad, and because of that, he'll never truly get to have a good relationship with his own son. Then he says, Richie ran away from you a long time ago, and who can blame him?
Richie ran away from you a long time ago, Foley. And who can blame him?
Damn! Okay. Long story short, a fight breaks out between the villains and the dads trying to save Richie, though are incapable of doing so. Then Static comes in to save the day, and Mr. Foley is extremely grateful that his son was saved by, you know, a black superhero. The episode ends with Mr. Foley, Virgil, and Richie all heading to Comic-Con, and the father's attitude is noticeably different, treating Virgil as he would anyone else. I really like how the directors chose to make the dad being racist just as big a problem as supervillains, and they don't shove it in your face either. It was genuinely a good life lesson that was approached in a calmly and mature manner. I see why the show was heavily praised. Dwayne McDuffie, one of the two creators of the original Static Shock comics, focused heavily on giving minorities an important role in pieces of media. Fun fact, since we're talking about Static Shock, they actually had a gun PSA and a dyslexia PSA. In the dyslexia one, they tell kids to not be afraid to tell an adult if they're having trouble reading, and they're no less than anyone else. And the gun PSA is a bit more morbid, showing a little girl placing a rose on a tombstone. Oh, shit. Hey, YouTube. That's bad. Oh, hey guys, it's just me and Earl hanging out, you know, just waking up. But I'm here to interrupt the video to tell you guys, we have a new drop at Earl. That's right, it's the Simple drop. As you can see, it's simple embroidery. Awesome hoodies, you can wear them to sleep, you could wear them to go outside. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can wear them. I want to let you guys know that every month there's going to be a new Earl drop. It's already been like that, but I haven't said it. So I'm letting you guys know that yes, every month there is a new Earl drop, a new collection. And if you guys want to shop for previous collections, they're actually still at the store. Just click on the limited collections tab. Everything you thought you missed out on is still there. Right now we have the Simple drop, everything's simple. And also Earl plushies will be out soon. They're actually being shipped to me from China right now. So they'll be in my possession in a few weeks. Make sure to shop at earldoesn'texist.com and let's get back to the video. That's So Raven, Season 3, Episode 10, True Colors. That's So Raven aired on Disney Channel for 4 seasons from 2003 to 2007. It was about a teenage girl, Raven, dealing with the average problems of the youth. But there was a twist. She could see into the future. I always personally thought that was a little bit corny, but the show was a huge success, so fuck me, right? Anyway, Season 3, Episode 10, True Colors begins with the Baxter family cooking up soul food in celebration of Black History Month. And Raven announces that she and her best friend Chelsea are going to be applying to a store in their local mall known as Sassy's. They go to apply and are met with multiple tasks.
I love this question. Let me show you.
Okay, so first you're gonna find the Stitch Fix styling quiz to send you pieces you're gonna love. Now it's the fun part. Try things on, keep what you love. For anything else,
So the manager gets an idea of who would be a good employee. Raven does everything right, and Chelsea fucks every single challenge up. At the same time, Corey is supposed to be writing a 500-page essay on a historic black figure, but finds it boring. So Mr. Baxter encourages him to be more enthusiastic about his race. We cut to the next day at school where Chelsea gets a phone call from the Sassy's manager and becomes ecstatic finding out she got the job. Then she asks about Raven and is told that she didn't. Raven gets a vision, and the manager can be heard saying this.
The truth is, I don't hire black people.
Chelsea decides to quit for obvious reasons. Meanwhile, Corey falls asleep at his desk, and his dad, dressed up as Frederick Douglass, comes out of his computer. At first watch, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? But then I remembered, oh yeah, Corey fell asleep. I just wish they transitioned into his dream better. Literally a vortex transition would have done the job. Anyway, Corey is taught about a lot of black figures that should be respected due to their contribution to America's history. Now back to Raven. She explains to her parents that she didn't get the job because the manager just doesn't like black people. They try to come up with a plan to get the manager fired, but realize they have no evidence other than Raven's vision. So she comes up with a plan to record her saying it and submit it to the news. She quickly calls Chelsea and tells her not to quit and instead wear a hat with a camera in it. While working, Raven comes in with a disguise, and this is where the vision took place. The manager is then caught being racist. Once that happens, we cut to the television where the news anchor explains the manager has been fired and the company issued a public apology.
Truth is, I don't hire black people.
And there you have it.
Oh, and Corey also got the essay done out of passion rather than being forced by his school. I think the episode did a great job capturing how easily people can be racist and how heavily it can affect the recipient. For example, not being able to get a job. Though I never got into that so Raven because I was too young. My older sister loved the show and I remember bits and pieces here and there, and it was a pleasant surprise to see how they chose to tackle racism in this episode. Sesame Street, Season 25, Episode 5. Racism on Sesame Street. I don't really think Sesame Street needs an introduction, so I'm not gonna do one, but we're gonna be talking about Season 25, Episode 5, Racism on Sesame Street, which aired on November 26th, 1993. The whole episode is actually available on YouTube, but it's split into two parts. The episode starts off with Gina and Savion walking around Sesame Street and having some innocent fun. Then they walk into a shop, which I'm gonna assume Gina has some ownership of, and they're startled to be receiving an anonymous phone call telling them that people of different skin colors can't be friends. They assume it's a random bystander that saw them outside, so they explain to Telly, the Muppet, that there are some stupid people in this world, and Telly is confused as to why this is a conversation to have in the first place. Then Telly asks what they would do if that person calls again, and they mock the idea of it happening by making a fart sound.
Yes! Yes!
Remember guys, this is a toddler show. Then the story moves on to a different plot revolving around Telly and his friend Baby Bear. Telly is telling Baby Bear about what happened, and again, they're both confused. And in kids show fashion, they sing a song about being best friends. It's pretty cute. The reason they're hanging out together is because they set up an information shop where they sell information about anything for 1 penny. Gina comes by and nothing really notable happens besides a monologue about a stereotype that girls should be more scared of things than boys. The episode ends with Gina and Savion looking at the Sesame Street apartments, wondering if the anonymous guy is watching them. So they decide to loudly sing the best friend song, hoping that the racist will see. You know, since this show is for smaller kids, I'd say they did a good job here. If it was for teens, it would have been a fail, but they made it so that the anonymous racist has no argument, which means we only get to see Telly's side of confusion and Gina and Savion's reasoning that it's just the product of bad people. During the year of 2020, Sesame Street continued to push the anti-racism agenda due to the problems going on at the time. The videos I watched were honestly pretty innocent and educational, which confused me on the amount of dislikes they got, though comments were disabled so I couldn't check out any opinions. I decided to go to the source of the video, which was CNN's Twitter, which has 11 million views, and I was able to gather a glimpse of the negative comments. This is why I'm gonna assume the videos talking about racism have dislikes, but I also found these wholesome images too. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Season 1, Episode 6, Mistaken Identity. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air aired from 1990 to 1996 on NBC and followed a street-smart teen played by Will Smith, whose name is Will Smith. I didn't grow up with this show, but I didn't know Will Smith played Will Smith in this show. Anyway, the show follows Will Smith and the troubles he gets into in the neighborhood of Bel-Air, Los Angeles. In Season 1, Episode 6, Mistaken Identity, the episode begins with Uncle Phil and his wife Vivian going to a retreat in Palm Springs. They break the news to the kids that there's they're staying at home. So Will comes up with a plan to ask Uncle Phil's boss if he needs him to drive his car over there since they'll be flying in a helicopter. So Will and Carlton attempt to drive the Mercedes to Palm Springs but are suddenly stopped by a cop. Carlton is hopeful as he says the policeman is their friend and should be able to give them some direction since they're lost. Will instructs Carlton to keep his hands on the wheel, but he doesn't listen and instead goes for a handshake. The police officer then tells him to keep his hands on the wheel. Carlton is extremely innocent and Will is telling him what not to do and he just ignores him. He takes out his license and registration and says that the car isn't his, by the way, which prompts the officer to tell him to get out the car, and then we cut to the police station where Will is giving Carlton a pep talk on how cops treat black people and how to talk back to them by keeping their answers short and sweet. This doesn't seem to get through Carlton's head though, as he's saying more than he should to the cops, which just makes their story seem fake, furthering the cops' suspicions that these two black males stole the car. They get a chance to make a phone call, so they call the boss's wife, and she mistakes "I'm in jail" for "I'm in Yale." She then later hangs up and tells Carlton's parents that he got into Yale, leaving them confused. Then the duo end up getting thrown in a cell and Will comes up with a plan to only confess to the crimes they didn't commit if a camera crew shows up and broadcasts it. Uncle Phil and his wife end up seeing this as it interrupts the football game everyone was watching at the retreat, and they go to the station demanding the kids are set free. The cops disrespect them though, not seeing them as real people, and then Henry Firth shows up, the boss and owner of the car, and the cops treat him with the utmost respect. Henry says he knows those kids and Uncle Phil tells the cops to let them free before he sues them, as he's a lawyer. Once at home, Will and Carlton have a serious discussion about racism against black people, as Carlton is oblivious to it, even after the event. He says that the cops were, quote, just trying to do their jobs, which angers Will, and he tells him that no matter what, as long as they're black, their lives will be harder than the average white man. The episode ends in a very morbid way, with no happy ending, as Carlton is trying to make sense of why they were stopped. He claims they were just driving too slow, and that's why the cops stopped them.
If you were a policeman and you saw a car driving 2 miles an hour, wouldn't you stop it?
I asked myself that question the first time I was stopped. Good night, son.
Then the camera pans out, and we see Carlton reflecting on being racially profiled. We fade to black, and the credits roll. There's no music like usual. It's just quiet. Honestly, it's an extremely real look at what it could be like finding out that you're in the minority. Not only that, but realizing the fact that your life is going to be a lot harder than it should be. I really like this episode. I always like, and I'm sure many of you do too, when shows get serious, especially when there's not a happy ending. It's only real life. If you guys are interested, make sure to go look it up and watch it. It's a really good.
My name is Squidward, and I hate my life. Nothing ever changes. I'm thinking of killing myself. But before I kill myself, I want to kill the people I hate.
I should go find SpongeBob and Patrick and help them.
See you in hell. Get ready to die.
When you need a warm blanket for your good boy, we're here. At Nicor Gas, we're here delivering clean, safe, reliable, and affordable natural gas. So whatever you need, we're here for you.
Really good watch. Arthur. Season 21, Episode 4, Arthur Takes a Stand. Arthur aired on PBS from 1994 to 2022. Yeah, it barely ended last year. That's fucking crazy. Though the show did go on several hiatuses, so it wasn't active for a couple of those years. The show takes place in the fictional city of Elwood and focuses on 3rd grade student Arthur the Aardvark and his other anthropomorphic friends. In Season 21, Episode 4, which came out in 2017, the principal announces that breakfast will now be served in the cafeteria along with the lunch. The kids are excited, but after Arthur comes back due to forgetting his notebook, he realizes that the lunch lady, Mrs. McGrady, has no one to help her and is being overworked. He's shocked and says that the school needs to hire more helpers, but she says she's already attempted but heard no response back. So Arthur goes to the principal and tells her Mrs. McGrady deserves some more help, which she just ignores. She's too distracted by breakfast doing so good. And I don't know if the principal having white skin and Mrs. McGrady having brown skin had a role to play in this, so I don't want to make an assumption about that, but it's definitely something I was wondering while watching. Arthur talks to Sue on his way home about the situation, and she suggests the idea of boycotting until something is done. Here she mentions figures like Martin Luther King and John Lewis. So then in the library, a cartoon version of John Lewis appears and gives Arthur a talk about standing his ground. Between you and me, I feel like they could have given John Lewis a less human face? Anyway, Arthur, his friends, and Mrs. McGrady all choose to not leave the lunch tables until something is done. The principal comes in and tries to shut everything down in an annoyed fashion, but the group doesn't budge. It's only until John Lewis spawns in that the principal guarantees she'll contact the school board as soon as possible. The episode then ends. And this one was different from the others I've talked about. This one focused more so on the response to being mistreated, of course in a non-violent way. Boycotting has worked in the past as a peaceful protest method, so I don't see why anyone would get mad that your kids are being taught to stand up for what they believe in a peaceful way. This is another good episode, which tackled the very hard subject of responding to prejudice in a non-violent way. I still think this portrayal of John Lewis could have been a lot better. Jesus. Steven Universe, BLM PSA. Steven Universe ran on Cartoon Network from 2013 to 2019 and had a spin-off called Steven Universe Future that ran from from 2019 to 2020. The show is about a young boy named Steven and the Crystal Gems, aka alien warriors who protect humanity from the evils it faces, those being Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. Oh, and Steven. The show is very LGBT friendly, which meant it was controversial, but it's also loved by many. I mean, Steven Universe has an extremely strong and diehard fan base whether people like it or not. Though I've only heard that the Steven Universe fan base is cringeworthy, and it seems even some of the people in the fandom don't like the community either. I do really like the animation style though. I always have. Oh, and the theme song. That's just kinda hard, I'm not gonna lie, that's just kinda hard. Anyway, in 2020, the Steven Universe team released a short on YouTube titled Don't Deny It, Defy It. And it starts off with two little boys on the playground holding hands, and one of them saying, when we're older, let's get married, which leads another kid to say, you can't get married, black people can't marry white people. Yeah, she says it in that tone. I don't know if I could play the clip for copyright, but if I can, then you're probably about to hear it.
Hey, when we're older, let's get married. Ha! You can't get married. Why not? Black people can't marry white people.
And then Garnet comes in to say, don't be racist. And then we get a behind the scenes look of the filming of the PSA, and the little white kid says, stuff like this doesn't actually happen in real life, which leads
You can't get married. Why not? Black people can't marry white people.
and then
Hey, when we're older, let's get married. Ha! You can't get married. Why not? Black people can't marry white people.
And then Garnet comes in to say, don't be racist. And then we get a behind the scenes look of the filming of the PSA, and the little white kid says, stuff like this doesn't actually happen in real life, which leads to him getting a little lesson about how racism is very real in the real world. That's it. Honestly, at first look, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't think it was good or bad. But geez, 125,000 dislikes? What went wrong? Since the comments were disabled, due to it being a YouTube Kids video, I found a video uploaded around the same time by a YouTuber named Just a Robot titled Steven Universe Kids Don't Be Racist, PSA is Strange, and the major complaint that people had was that the PSA tried too hard to bring the LGBT into this by making the kids in the commercial gay, which distracts people from the racism problem. I also saw some complaints about the little white boy apologizing too quickly, which just made it seem fake, so I'm guessing this is why there's a huge amount of dislikes. Though the Steven Universe team tried again in the following year and got a lot better reception. They got straight to the point and had a short conversation about being anti-racist. I'm guessing the dislikes on that was just people that just don't want their cartoon characters talking about real world matters, I think. After they slightly acknowledged the bad reviews of the last PSA, this time Steven's dad was the one explaining and talking about being an ally, and I see why it got a better reaction from the audience. There is such a thing as trying to be too progressive, which just makes the general audience annoyed. Even though this PSA got some dislikes as well, I'm glad they were able to end on a more positive note. Alright, that was it for this video. If you guys liked it, make sure to leave a like. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Also, check out this awesome shirt. Shout out First High. Shout out Brandon, that's my dog right there. I see you grinding on your First High. Y'all make sure to follow him on Instagram, @FirstHigh. Great brand. And Cameron, you gotta get on your puffy shit. I'm gonna call you out in front of all my audience. That's how much I want you to get on your shit. Anyway, new video next week. We're staying with the weekly uploads. And if you like me, maybe consider follow me on Instagram and stream the new song. Alright, that's it. I'll see you guys next time I upload.
With Asana, you can drive clarity,